Welcome to Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations. In this particular video, we will be looking at the biblical light that became flesh in the King James Bible after living 9 months within the bar-shaped female earth oven. When we recognize that the ancient solar theology of the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, fourth son of Jacob, who is now couched down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids, as the Ethiopian couching lion sphinx of ancient Judaism, of Giza and Gaza and Jerusalem. We must look at the bar-shaped sphere of the globe earth as representing, in Biology 101, we see it as the bar-shaped female earth oven, where the same solar hydrogen light that's traveling 93 million miles away across the black outer regions of space towards the north and south pole areas of the basically bar-shaped earth is seen entering into the magnetic field lines that look like a rotating tornado. So two magnetic field like tornadoes is entering into the north and south pole area of the basically bar-shaped earth. Now when we look at the bar-shaped female earth oven, we see the epithelial cells that make up the basketball-shaped earth oven cell walls. In this manner, we see the holy hydrogen light of creation within the epithelial cells interacting with the magnetic field of the bar-shaped female earth oven. Now, when this occurs, we see a magnetic fetus southern line being created by hydrogen light interacting with the magnetic field lines. And the best way in which I could describe this occurrence within the bar-shaped female earth oven is to use the figure 8 pattern flowing to a bar magnet of the magnetic field, in which resembles a figure 8 pattern. Now when you take a figure 8 magnetic field and place it within a circle, we're talking about the circle glowing around the chemical circular area of the human cell, the holy hydrogen light of creation circle, in which the King James Bible speaks of as the biblical light that became flesh. So here's where we see the figure 8 pattern flowing to a bar magnet the size of your little pinky finger, a piece of iron, a thin strip of iron, a bar magnet. Now if you place a bar magnet within a circle of the holy hydrogen light of creation, then we would see that the figure 8 pattern, if you draw that same figure 8 pattern within a circle on a blank piece of paper, then where the left and right ends of the figure 8, a horizontal figure 8 within a circle on a blank sheet of paper, where the left and right ends of the figure 8 interacts with the circle, we see the tornado magnetic field patterns flowing through the north and south pole area of planet Earth. So if you put your finger on in the center of a horizontal figure 8, within a circle. Okay, so if you put your finger in the center of a horizontal figure 8, which represents the bar magnet magnetic field, you're putting your finger at the tip of two tornadoes or two cones. So this is how we equate the magnetic field flowing. This is how I equate the magnetic field flowing through the bar-shaped female earth oven as a rotating tornado-like magnetic field. In other words, a miniature black hole. Now what we're talking about is space moving in the form of a spiral. This is what astronomers refer to as a black hole. So when we talk about the holy hydrogen light creation interacting with the magnetic field of the bar-shaped earth, okay, we're talking about the interaction of hydrogen light with the magnetic field, which causes 7 glowing rainbow circles in the north and south pole area of the basically bar-shaped earth. And when we look at the creation of all microcellular living bacteria cells, we see the biblical light that became flesh as spoken of in 1 John 1:1 as Malachi 4:2 winged sun is solar hydrogen light traveling 93 million miles away across the black outer regions of space. As it interacts with the north and south pole magnetic field areas of the basically bar-shaped earth in the same manner in which the epithelial cells based holy hydrogen light of creation interacts with the magnetic field within the bar-shaped female earth oval. We see that the living circles of bacteria cells is nothing but living circles of the holy hydrogen light of creation. This is why we see peanut-shaped bacteria cells with blue, green, and yellow light around them, and circular-shaped bacteria cells in all of the garden soils around the world. Now, when we look at the human cell 75, a million times magnified in Biology 101 with the electron microscope, we see the holy hydrogen light of creation glowing in this around the chemical circular area of the human cell in this ionized circular holy hydrogen light of creation plasma form. So this tells us that the ball-shaped female earth ovum, as a representation of the earth, is giving birth to Malachi 4:2, winged sunness, 15 billion year old sun throne, original light that became flesh, or the biblical light that created the 5 billion year old world in the black outer regions of space. So we're talking about in carbon 14 dating, the 15 billion year old age of the sun that existed before the 5 billion year old age of planet Earth. So as we rediscover the biblical light that created the world, we will be also rediscovering the biblical light, the light of every man that cometh into the world. And it has nothing to do with the Greek and Roman image of Jesus or Jehovah. It has everything to do with Malachi 4:2, winged sunness, ancient solar theology of the book of Genesis 49:8, fourth son of Jacob, who entered into ancient Egypt, according to Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, amongst the 12 sons of Jacob, where we currently see him today, cast down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Egyptian pyramids. Now, when we look at the African lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah, that ruled over ancient Giza and Gaza, Jerusalem, Palestine, Ethiopia, we are looking at the normal-headed human race, fourth son of Jacob. This is where we connect all of the 12 sons of Jacob that left the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham as they entered into the stealth pyramid of Saqqara and started the stealth pyramid of Saqqara in ancient Egypt architecture. So when we talk about the dome of the rock, outer wall stone rectangular window frames, having a 1, 2, 3 group in a pyramid square that is seen flanking a central Ethiopian cross, we have rediscovered the fourth son of Jacob, who's now cast down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Egyptian pyramids. Okay, as the biblical North African Chaldean lion sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Ethiopia, Palestine, and Jerusalem. So when we talk about all of the 12 sons of Jacob that left the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, located in modern Iraq, as they crossed that thin strip of water called the Euphrates River, they entered into North Africa and started the stealth pyramid of Saqqara. The question is, why do we see the Babylonian stealth pyramids of the 12 sons of Jacob that descended from the black African Hamitic stealth pyramid civilizations of Ham? Why do we see the stealth pyramids in the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames of the normal-headed African Adamic race? The answer to that lies within the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares that is seen flanking a central Ethiopian cross within all of the stone rectangular window frames that adorn the outer wall octagonal building structure in Jerusalem called the Dome of the Rock. This is where we reconnect the fourth son of Jacob, who's now cast down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Egyptian pyramids, to the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection of the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares. Now, we also will be able to connect the cross-shaped building structure that's located in the modern Lalibela to the South American and Puma Punku stealth pyramids, where we see elongated hidden skulls at the base of the pyramids, which represent Genesis 1:26 first elongated hidden African Adamic race, such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls, where we see elongated hidden African pharaohs. So they was the first, if we agree with modern archaeologists, upon the subject of Africans as having existed upon the earth as the first people. Then the book of Genesis, creation of the first Adam, deals with the elongated headed African Adamic race, the oldest of the African Adamic race. So that's Genesis 1:26. This is what the Jerusalem Temple Mount area view early 1930s land surface area that's adjacent to the entrance gate is retelling the normal-headed humans that now populate the world, the entire world. That the elongated headed African Adamic race created Genesis 2:7 normal-headed human race. This gives us a black god flying in the atmosphere over Jerusalem, Giza, and Gaza, and the Isaiah 1919 Egyptian pyramids. Now, this black guy, it turns out to be the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount, 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares, flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Because when we go to the cross-shaped building structure of modern Lalibela and look down upon it from a helicopter from 12 to 6 o'clock position, we see a solid cross-shaped building structure that was carved out of solid bedrock, and the area that was left formed a square. If you jump down in that square and look up, you're looking up from the book of Revelation 21:18, returning cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. Every cube has a square for a ceiling, a square for a floor, a square for a left and right wall. So when we go to Lalibela and look at the cross-shaped building structure base, this is where we discover the fourth son of Jacob, who's now crouched down in front of the Isaiah 1919 Egyptian pyramids. Original globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projections. And that is connected to the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares that's seen within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames. As the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares is seen flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Now, when we look at the area viewed Egyptian pyramids from a helicopter, we see 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid bases as the same 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares that's seen within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames. This means that the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount was the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares and the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure located in modern Lalibela. Now, modern archaeologists won't make this statement because they are being paid off or bribed by the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the Rothschild, and the pro-Israeli American-backed part of our government. But once you rediscover that the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela appears within the dome of the rock stone rectangular window frames, all of the stone rectangular window frames that adorn the outer surface of the holy building of King David and Solomon, located in the Middle East, upon the Jerusalem Temple Mount platform. So now when we go back to the focus of the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projections within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames, we see this central Ethiopian cross, which brings us full circle back unto the book of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, original 12 sons of Jacob as they left the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, which is located in modern Iraq, and crossed the Euphrates River and entered into ancient Egypt and started the stealth pyramids of Saqqara. This is why we now see, when you take a trip to Jerusalem and go examine all of the octagonal outer wall surfaces, you'll see stone rectangular window frames with central Ethiopian crosses being flanked by a 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares up on the upper left and right hand corners and lower left and right hand corners. The 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares then is uncovers the mystery of the Isaiah 1919 pyramids in North Africa. Now, once we look at this, the geometry within the stone rectangular window frames upon the dome of the rock outer wall surface area, it tells us who returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount. Okay, and we see this when we take the cross-shaped building structure out of the wall area enclosure, cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, located in Lalibela. So if you was like a big giant and reached down and took the Lalibela cross-shaped building structure out the ground and superimposed it upon the dome of the rock, outer wall stone rectangular window frame images of a central Ethiopian cross, then you will see that the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares is pointing to who returns to the octagonal equatorial perimeter of the globe Earth, North Pole concentrically viewed map image of the basketball-shaped Earth. So when we go back to the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela, since it matches the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames, where, okay, we see, when we look down upon this cross-shaped building structure within the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, as defined by the deep square area that was left after the cross-shaped building structure was carved out of solid bedrock. we see the globe earth stele pyramid Mercator projection arising out of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem's floor. And it looks like the Queen's Chamber wall niche in the Pyramid of Khufu, the first room in the Giza pyramids. On the back stone wall of the Queen's Chamber, we see 5 blocks carved out of the solid wall on the left, and they look like when you stack 5 blocks on top of one another that they form a step that you walk up on. And we see 5 blocks that you stack up on top of one another that they form a step that you walk up on the right side. So 5 blocks on the left, 5 blocks on the right. The 5th block on the left and right side is touching at the top. Now this is called a niche, N-I-C-H-E, and it is the same image in which appears within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames around the perimeters of the Ethiopian cross. Now when we see the same niche within the Pyramid of Khufu, Queen's Chamber back wall, appearing in the area view cross-shaped building structure located in modern Lalibela. So that's the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure that was carved out of solid bedrock. Now when we're looking now upon this cross-shaped building structure from a helicopter, we see the same niche that appears within the Pyramid of Khufu, Queen's Chamber back wall, that was carved out of the solid wall. Okay, stone wall. It looks like 5 blocks stacked on the left that they form a step that you walk upon, and 5 blocks stacked on top of one another on the right side that they form a step that you walk upon. So when we look at the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela from a helicopter, we see the geographic purpose of the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame Central Ethiopian cross. And that being the globe earth stele pyramid Mercator projection 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramid outer space corners, which is seen when you place a square, okay, on the blank piece of paper and an octagon within that square. Draw a line from each corner of the square into the center of the Dome of the Rock octagonal roof. You have just enclosed the Dome of the Rock within a huge pyramid. This is where we rediscover what is returning to the Jerusalem Temple Mount. It is one of the first elongated headed African Adamic race that was created in Genesis 1:26, such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls, where we see watermelon shaped elongated headed African pharaohs. So when we look at the car-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela, again from a helicopter looking straight down upon it from toward the 6 o'clock position, we see that this cross-shaped building structure has a base is the same globe earth stele pyramid Mercator projection in which the book of Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse refers to as the 12 sons of Jacob leaving the Babylonian stele pyramid Mercator projections of Ham, which is located in modern Iraq. So when we make the archaeological and theological and astronomical discoveries concerning who returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount, we must return back to the cross-shaped building structure wall area 8 enclosure image in Lalibela. That's the base of the cross, which was carved out of solid bedrock. The area that was left formed the square. The square is so deep that if you jump down in it and once you reach the bottom and look up, you're looking up from the book of Revelation in the King James Bible, 21st chapter and 18th verse, cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. So as we look at the cross-shaped base being the same Ethiopian cross that appears within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames as it's flanked by a 1, 2, 3 group of pyramid squares, we had rediscovered the theological racism in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible that was carried out by the book of Daniel 8:12 Greek and Roman conquerors over the biblical Holy Land areas of Giza, Gaza, Gath, Ekron, Ascalon, Ethiopia, Palestine, and Jerusalem. This theological racism that was carried out by the 1611 King of England appointed 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars to fly or go to Giza and Gaza and study the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls, in which the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible was originally translated out of into English, Greek, and Latin. Now, if you ever heard of modern Syrian or Iraqi or a Lebanese or a person in Afghanistan they're speaking the ancient Islamic Aramaic language of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So when you look at the same Islamic Aramaic language upon the outer wall of the Dome of the Rock, you're looking at the Islamic Aramaic language of Islam upon the Dome of the Rock. That means that the African Sphinx spoke the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. So when we look at the Jerusalem Temple Mount connection to the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela, it tells us who returns to the Dome of the Rock, octagonal, equatorial, globe, earth, self-pyramid Mercator projection perimeter. And we see this by examining the cross-shaped building structure base in Lalibela within the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. So when we look at the base, which represents the same globe earth style pyramid Mercator projection within the back wall of the Queen's Chamber in the Pyramid of Khufu, located upon the Giza Pyramid Complex. So we see this niche, N-I-C-H-E, which look like 5 blocks stacked on top of one another that they form a step that you walk upon the left and right side. So it's the same niche that appears at the base of the cross-shaped building structure that is currently located in modern Lalibela in Ethiopia. So when we look at the wall of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, I call it the wall area 8 enclosure, we can barely make out an elongated African ancient days face of the first atom. So I call it an 11E face. And it's about 45 feet away from the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela base. So if you took the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela out of its wall area 8 cubic dimension enclosure, like a giant, just reach down and take the whole cross-shaped building structure out of the square cubic dimensions enclosure area. Okay, once you've taken it out of the cubic dimension area in Lalibela, you superimpose that Ethiopian cross of Lalibela within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame images of a central Ethiopian cross. And when you've done that, it tells you who returned to the Jerusalem Temple Mount and to the 1, 2, 3 Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids, which appears within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames as 1, 2, 3 grouping the pyramid squares as they are seen flanking a central Ethiopian cross on the upper left and right hand corners and lower left and right hand corners. So once we superimpose the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame image of an Ethiopian cross, we see that the 45 feet distance of the wall area 8 enclosure of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, that 11E elongated headed African ancient days face of the first Adam returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount in a huge pyramid shaped UFO. Now, this is where we see the superimposing of the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela upon the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame image of a central Ethiopian cross. Once we've done that, the 45 feet distance of the elongated headed African ancient days from the cross-shaped base in Lalibela falls into the same position in the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames area where the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares appear. So that means this explains why there's a 45 and 32 degree air shaft to the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid, because it's dealing with astronomical perimeters of the globe earth octagonal equatorial Dome of the Rock roof. So when we look at this in astronomy, we see that the 45 feet distance above the Giza pyramids places the elongated headed African ancient days in orbit around the basketball shaped earth. This is the globe earth 2121 rectangular king chamber dimensions. This is where we see the Dome of the Rock octagonal equatorial perimeter within the North Pole concentrically viewed map image of planet Earth. So I call it a 2121 octagonal equatorial perimeter as seen in the North Pole concentrically viewed map image of planet Earth. So this explains the geographic purpose of the octagonal roof of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. Now, the octagon transforms into the rectangular king's chamber within the Pyramid of Khufu in North Africa. This is only seen in the North Pole concentrically viewed map image. That's the image where you place the earth at your feet like a basketball and look straight down upon it. Then you can draw the octagon within the equatorial area of the basketball-shaped earth of the dome of the rock roof. So here's where we uncover the geographic purpose of the King's Chamber within the Pyramid of Khufu. It's a part of the globe Earth 2121 rectangular King's Chamber dimensions. Now, when you look at the picture of the rectangular King's Chamber dimension, it appears in the if we took a cell sample from Jesus Christ, it would reveal Psalms 84:11 sun throne, biblical holy agent light creation, going around the chemical circular area of the cell of Jesus Christ. As Malachi 4:2 winged sunness, the 15 billion-year-old sun, as it's seen shining 93 million miles away across the black outer rings of space towards the basketball-shaped earth, north and south pole area, where the biblical light that became flesh is the same light in which we see now glowing around the chemical circular area of all human cells, a million times magnified in Biology 101 with the electron microscope. So when we look at this octagon of the Jerusalem Temple Mount connection to the globe Earth 2121 rectangular King's Chamber dimensions, this tells us this is a part of who returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount. It has nothing to do with the Greek and Roman image of Jesus or Jehovah in the man-based religions. That's all a part of Daniel 8:12 Greek and Roman conquerors over the biblical Holy Land areas, okay, of Giza, Gaza, Gath, Ekron, Ascalon, Ethiopia, Palestine, and Jerusalem. This is why the African pyramids of Khufu in Egypt appears on the back of the dollar bill after they was conquered. So the conquered Egypt and Giza and Gaza and Jerusalem, this conquering of the Greek devil eye up on the back of the American dollar bill pyramid is Daniel 8:12 Greek and Roman conquerors that came from the North Pole area of our basketball-shaped earth in a group of mountains called the Caucasus Mountains. So we call them a group of Caucasians that took over Africa, Jerusalem, and Egypt, and Ethiopia, and Palestine. And they now live in the modern state of Israel. So we see Greek and Romans ruling in Israel. And a part of the Greek devil eye up on the back of the dollar bill that's connected to Revelation 9:11, fallen angel called Apollyon. That's another Greek character of the angel of the bottomless pit, who gathers all of the world armies together in the last day and sends them into Syria, Egypt, Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem to wage war against the Afghanistan gray and brown skinned alien Elohim that has 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand. They stand about 4 feet tall, and they look like the normal-headed, this is where the normal-headed human race body form of Adam and Eve in Genesis 2:7 was grafted from. This is why we see a great alien at the top of the Jerusalem Temple Mount pyramid land surface structure. That's the early 1930s area view Jerusalem Temple Mount entrance gate land surface area, where we see a group of buildings in back of the entrance gate, a rectangular building, a white rectangular long structure. When you're looking down on it, upon it from a helicopter, it's generating the white roll of the 000111075 elongated headed African ancient of days face of the first Adam that appears behind the 101 Jerusalem Temple Mount entrance gate Islamic Aramaic name of Allah as Yeshua that created the book of Genesis 2:7 normal headed human race that now populate the entire surface of planet Earth. Now the globe Earth stele pyramid Mercator projections, when we return back to the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure of modern Lalibela, we see the wall area enclosure image telling us that the 45 feet distance of the wall away from the cross base, up on that wall, the 45 feet distance shows us that this elongated headed African ancient of days face of the first Adam is the same face we see up on the area view early 1930 Temple Mount entrance gate adjacent area. So we see the 000111075 face of an elongated headed African Adam that was created on the earth first. Now the second creation came in Genesis 2:7 with the normal headed human race. So the normal headed humans is a part of the 12 sons of Jacob and Adam and Eve. So here's where we see elongated headed extraterrestrials landing on Mount Sinai in a glowing circle of will within the world like UFO that had a crystal dome, where Prophet Ezekiel saw a biological life form within the crystal dome as alien Yeshua. However, when alien Yeshua, biblical will within the world like UFO landed in upon Mount Sinai, we must look at this geographically. because if you get in an airplane and fly over the North African continent, you will see a group of mountains called the Sinai Mountains. That's in North Africa. So when you land your plane on Mount Sinai, you geographically landing in ancient Egypt. So this biblical will within a will like UFO is connected to ancient Egypt. It has nothing to do with the Greek and Roman image of Jesus or Jehovah. It has everything to do with the first elongated headed African Adamic race that started the first stealth pyramid civilization in Babylon, such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls, where we see watermelon shaped elongated headed African pharaohs. Now, the stealth pyramids in South America, Pumapunku, is connected to the cross-shaped building structure in the Jerusalem Temple Mount. You say, well, how did this happen? Well, when you fly over the Tiwanaku Pumapunku stealth pyramid and look down upon it from a helicopter, you'll see that the solid foundation at the top of the stealth pyramid platform in South America, it has Ethiopian cross carved out of the solid foundation at the top of the stealth pyramid. So that means you can take the Ethiopian cross in Lalibela and place it at the top of the stealth pyramid in Pumapunku. So that means this carved out solid piece of platform at the top of the stealth pyramid is a representation of the first elongated headed African Adamic race. So this is how all of those stone faces of the Olmecs in South America can be connected to the normal-headed human race that was created in Genesis 2:7. Because the Olmec statues in South America, they have big, thick nose, big, thick lips, and they are black. A king and warriors that left in ships from Africa. But something occurred upon the globe Earth that caused the flood, and it was a group of Greek fallen six-finger Roswell aliens, Greek and Roman based, or they look like Greek and Roman, naked Greek and Romans, okay, with 5 fingers and 1 thumb on the left hand, 5 fingers and 1 thumb on the right hand. In the Old Testament, King David killed the enemy of Jerusalem called Goliath, and he has 5 fingers and 1 thumb on the left hand, 5 fingers and 1 thumb on the right hand. So these 6-finger enemies of Jerusalem exist, and they have time traveling in spaceships. They can go forward to 2020 and go back into the times of the pharaohs. This is why the 6-finger Roswell aliens consistently connected to the book of Daniel 8:12, Greek and Roman conquerors over the biblical Holy Land, and the Greek devil eye up on the back of the American dollar bill pyramid. So this Greek devil refused to give up his 6,000-year rule over the Genesis 2:7 normal-headed human race that now populate the entire surface of planet Earth. But the only force that can remove this Greek devil, 1947 Roswell type alien species that's ruling the normal-headed humans through the Greek devil eye up on the back of the dollar bill, which controls all the military forces of NATO and the United Nations through the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Now, when we make this archaeological and theological discovery concerning the gray and brown Afghanistan Alien 18 type of Elohim, in which exist as guardian cherubs of our entire solar system, they are guarding the normal-headed humans from the 6-finger time-traveling Roswell aliens. Now, they look like the Cupid on the Valentine's box, that little naked boy, okay, with a chubby stomach, right? But this is a real depiction of the 1967 Roswell alien. It's a white-looking alien, like he has the Greek and Roman facial characteristics. So when we talk about the Prime Minister Netanyahu ruling in ruling in Israel, he has a Greek and Roman face. He do not have a Hebrew or Israelite face. So we're talking about Daniel 8:12 Greek and Roman conquerors that conquered the biblical Holy Land areas of Giza, Gaza, Ekron, Ascalon, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. We're talking about them refusing to give up their control over the book of Genesis 2:7, normal-headed human race that now populate the entire world. So when we look at the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount, outer-wall stone rectangular window frames, we see the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares flanking a central Ethiopian cross, pointing to the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection of the book of Psalms, 105th chapter, 23rd verse, 12 sons of Jacob. that left the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, which is located in modern Iraq, as they entered into ancient Egypt. This is why we see Babylonian stealth pyramids in ancient Egypt referred to as the pyramids of Saqqara, the stealth pyramids of Saqqara. So the same, if you look at the stealth pyramids from a distance, okay, you're looking at 5 blocks stacked on top of one another, okay, that they form a step that you walk upon on the left side, and 5 blocks stacked on top of one another that they form a step that you walk upon on the right side. This is the same image we see at the cross-shaped building structure located in Ethiopia, in Lalibela, when you're looking down upon it from a helicopter. So this is the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection, which points to the Isaiah 1919 Egyptian pyramid globe earth outer space pyramid corners. So when you look at the Dome of the Rock connection to the Isaiah 1919 1, 2, 3 group of the pyramid squares of the Giza pyramids, we see that it's 3 pyramids, which is looking like 3 triangles. So if you draw a connection of the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid to the Dome of the Rock octagonal equatorial perimeter, this is where we connect geography with pyramid architecture and the Dome of the Rock octagonal roof. Now, you must take a blank sheet of paper, draw a square in that blank sheet of paper. Now put an octagon in that square. Now draw a line from each corner of the square into the center of the Dome of the Rock octagonal roof. You just enclosed the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure within the huge pyramid. Don't you get it? This is what returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount, a huge pyramid. And the pyramid represents the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. Because the face of the pyramid, one triangular face, you can count at the base 1, 440, and 1 cubics. Since the pyramid was constructed in cubits. Now, if you connect 2 pyramids at their bases, you've just connected 2 triangles together. So when you connect 2 triangles together on a blank sheet of paper, you created a sideways orientated Masonic square. Now, if you connect 2 pyramids together, you get in a sideways orientated Masonic square. Since we're looking at a bisymmetrically viewed dual pyramid face in the form of a bisymmetrically, sideways orientated Masonic square. Now, when we look at 2 pyramids connected at their bases, we're looking at the sideways orientated Masonic square. So therefore, the gable roof of the Queen's Chamber in the upper part of the triangle and the lower part of the triangle, since we connect 2 triangles together to form a sideways orientated Masonic square. So the extended roof lines of the Queen's Chamber, I call it the gable roof of the Queen's Chamber, towards the perimeter of the sideways orientated Masonic square generates the cube wall, 1440 wall of the returning cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. This is where we see the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid actually generating the 6-point star when you look at it from a helicopter of the Seal of Solomon and the Israeli national flag origin. So the 6-point star is generated from the biblical lion sphinx of ancient Giza and Gaza, Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids. So here's where we look at the 6-point star being generated from the pyramids of Khufu as seen from a helicopter. When you extend all of the square and the lines and connect them to the adjacent square lines to the pyramid baselines. So here we see the 6-point star being generated from the extended opposings of baselines of the Giza pyramids. Now, this is what dual sideways orientated Masonic squares is connected. So when you look at this, you say, are you telling me that the Dome of the Rock octagon of King David and Solomon in Jerusalem is generated from 2 Masonic squares? That's right. That's how, when you look at the biblical light that became flesh, you'll see my schematics of the dual Masonic squares. Okay, so that means then that the dual Masonic squares is a part of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem and the rectangular King's Chamber in the Pyramid of Khufu, because the octagon generated from 2 sideways orientated Masonic squares. Okay, 1 square, sideways square. So draw a sideways square on a blank sheet of paper. Okay, so that means that then the tip of the square is 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Well, now draw another square on a blank sheet of paper over that one, the same size. That means that this square The corner is at 10 to 2 o'clock. That's the square corner at the top. And then the bottom corner is 8 to 4 o'clock. Okay, so look at the wall clock. So draw a line from 10 o'clock to 2 on your blank sheet of paper, even if you put a wall clock on the blank sheet of paper with the 12 hours in the circle. That's how you get your bearings. Okay, so when we look at this sideways orientated Masonic square, being connected to the rectangular King's Chamber dimensions of the Pyramid of Khufu and the Dome of the Rock octagonal equatorial globe Earth perimeters, we have uncovered the rectangular King's Chamber purpose and geography within the Pyramid of Khufu, and the 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid squares as seen from a helicopter when we look down upon the Egyptian pyramids. They are the same 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid squares that appear within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames, flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Now, the elongated headed African ancient of days 11E face of the first Adam returns to the Jerusalem Temple Mount in a huge pyramid. Now, wait a minute. When we incorporate the modern National Space Administration Soho satellite imagery, we have time jumped into 2014. So we jumped from looking at the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames, 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid squares flanking the central Ethiopian cross, okay, to 2014 time period. So what is the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection trying to tell the normal hidden humans that was created in Genesis 2:7? Well, we see the fourth son of Jacob in Genesis 49:8 as the Ethiopian couching lion sphinx of ancient Giza and Gaza in Jerusalem, original globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection of the 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids flanking the central Ethiopian cross. And this tells us that the 45 and 32 degree air shaft emerging from the pyramid in North Africa is connected to a blank sheet of paper, where you put a square in the blank sheet of paper, on the blank sheet of paper, and the octagon representing the octagonal roof of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem within that square. Now, in order to show you what the 1, 2, 3 group of pyramid squares flanking the central Ethiopian cross within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame is all about, it's about a huge pyramid returning to the globe earth octagonal equatorial perimeter of the Temple Mount. That means we've been lied to by the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible thumpers and the book of Daniel 8:12 Greek and Roman conquerors of the biblical Holy Land. This, in theological racism, they denied the book of Genesis 49:8, fourth son of Jacob, who's now cast down in front of the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares, which appears within the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame, flanking the central Ethiopian cross. So if the African lion sphinx 1, 2, 3 Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid was a major part of the returning cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, don't you get it now? You say if that's true, then the pyramids flanking is a major part of a moon-sized cubic structure returning into our solar system. The cube of New Jerusalem in the King James Bible is the size of our moon. So a picture, a cube the size of our moon heading towards Earth. So if we time jump to modern astronomical images, searching for the cube of New Jerusalem, we see the Soho satellite imagery of the National Space Administration, where they discovered a huge black cube the size of our moon in orbit around our sun. So this tells you that the National Space Administration Soho satellite imagery is all online. Go online and look up the cube, black cube in orbit around our sun. So the brainwashing and the Hollywood movies try to brainwash you, telling you that the Borg cube, okay, with a group of gnarly looking hippies on board, that's what the Borg movie was all about in Star Trek and stuff. It was white extremists on the Borg cube, okay. And so this is why modern Christianity cannot look at the cubic dimension of New Jerusalem inner truth or reality, because all they see is the white extremists in a Star Trek movie, the Borg. But what is actually on board the Jerusalem Temple Mount outer wall stone rectangular window frame image of a central Ethiopian cross being flanked by 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramids? It's elongated here, the Old Testament extraterrestrials. That's connected to the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares that's seen within the dome rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame. So when you look at the chief focus of the dome of the rock outer walls is the Ethiopian cross and the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids. So what is they trying to tell the normal hidden humans that was created in Genesis 2:7 that will visit the Dome of the Rock in future time? Such as tourists go to Jerusalem, look at this wall, and pay no attention to the Isaiah 1919 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Because they've been brainwashed to believe in the man-based religion that points to a Greek and Roman image of God hovering in the black outer regions of space with a white robe, thin nose, blue eyes, stringy hair. So this man-made image of God is lying about Malachi 4:2 winged sunness. That 1 John 1:1 speaks of as the 15 billion-year-old sun that existed before the 5 billion-year-old world in the black outer regions of space. This is the biblical light that existed before the world. We all know in astronomy that the sun is older than the earth, and the sun created the earth and the 9 planets within our solar system. So this is the solar theology of the African lion sphinx as he faces east towards Malachi 4:2 winged sunness in front of the Jerusalem Temple Mount 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares that appears within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames. So this cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem is connected to the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids and the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela. So once you look at the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection of the 12 sons of Jacob, they left the Babylonian stealth pyramid of Ham located in modern Iraq as they started the stealth pyramid in Saqqara after crossing the Euphrates River. So we see the 12 black African Aramaic speaking sons of Jacob entering into ancient Egypt and starting the stealth pyramids of Saqqara, and preserving the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection within the pyramid of Khufu Queen's Chamber back wall as the niche, N-I-C-H-E. It's the same niche which look like 5 blocks stacked on top of one another on the left and right side that they form a step that you walk upon. So this same niche represents the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection that we see when we look at the area view cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela from a helicopter from 12 to 6 o'clock position. Now it appears at the base of the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela. Do you know what this means? It means that the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilizations of Ham, connected to the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids and the Queen's Chamber wall niche, also appears within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames within the architecture of the Ethiopian cross. So that means on the blank sheet of paper, you draw a rectangular section the thickness of 3 fingers on a blank white sheet of paper, representing the vertical rectangular section of the Ethiopian cross in Lalibela, and that appears in the dome of the rock outer wall. So you will draw a horizontal rectangular section of the thickness of 3 fingers on a blank sheet of paper. Now, you would draw a square on top of the vertical and horizontal section. This is where you pause and look at the blank sheet of paper. Now, if you look at the vertical section, that means of the Ethiopian cross on the blank white sheet of paper, all you need to do is take a pencil and draw a line from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the corner of the vertical section, the left corner. That's the first pyramid triangle. Now you do the same thing with the square, right corner. You draw a line from 10 to 3 o'clock. That's the second pyramid triangle. And when you do the same thing for the horizontal rectangular section in the right corner, you draw a line from 10 to 3 o'clock. That's 3 pyramids appearing at the edge of the Ethiopian cross within the dome of the rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames. So this is why when we look at the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection as a major part in archaeology to the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection of the 12 sons of Jacob and the 4th son of Jacob, who entered into ancient Egypt according to Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse amongst the 12 sons of Jacob, where we currently see him today as he's cast down in front of the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids. as the biblical North African Chaldean landings of ancient Giza, Gaza, Jerusalem, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Ethiopia. Now, this is where we see the roof, the square area of the roof of the cross-shaped building structure in Ethiopia, in Lalibela, as representing the Masonic square of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. And why is this so important? The Masonic square that appears in the roof of the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela architecture. Well, it's important because when you look at the Dome of the Rock, if you go to the Dome of the Rock today, take your cameras with you. Once you look at the first wall, now there's 8 walls that make up this octagonal building structure that has a golden dome, and the 3 levels to this wall. So the first level, okay, you have 4 doors that you can enter into the octagonal building structure of King David and Solomon. But there's 8 walls and only 4 doors. So what's flanking each door is a stone rectangular window frame on the outer wall of the octagonal building structure of King David and Solomon in Jerusalem. So that means you cannot enter into the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem unless you respect the stone rectangular window frames. And that means a stone rectangular window frame on the left and right door, and it's a stone rectangular window frame flanking the left and right part of the door. Now once you look at this stone rectangular window frame, you're going to see 3 triangles flanking the Dome of the Rock entrance doorway to the octagonal building of King David and Solomon. What does this mean? It means that 3 triangles carved in stone in the stone rectangular window frame is representing the Isaiah 19:19 Egyptian pyramids. Okay, so that means if you look in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids and look straight forward at them, you're seeing 1, 2, 3 triangles. That's the horizontal view looking straight forward at the North African pyramid of Khufu. Now when you look at the doorway that you must walk into to get to the octagonal building structure called the Dome of the Rock, it's being flanked by a stone rectangular window frame on the left side of the door and on the right side. And each stone rectangular window frame has 1, 2, 3 triangles carved in stone. So this is the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids in which we have reconnected to the Dome of the Rock, which confirms the black African lion sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Ekron, Escalon, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. So when we reconnect the black African lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah to the Dome of the Rock stone rectangular window frames that's flanking the door, there's only 4 doors. And each door is flanked by a stone rectangular window frame. This is the first level of the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure. Now, when you look at this, what's in the second stone rectangular window frame? So just like if you look at the door leading into your apartment. Now, right, if you draw a stone rectangular window frame to the left side of the door and a stone rectangular window frame to the right side of the door, if you write 2 X's in the stone rectangular window frame, 1 X at the top of the rectangular window, stone rectangular window frame, and another X at the bottom. This is the image that appears in the first rectangular window frame flanking the door that you walk into the Dome of the Rock. Why is this X so important? Because it represents the cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela. Once we rediscover the black African lion sphinx of Judah is connected to the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure that was carved out of solid bedrock in modern Lalibela. That means you cannot walk into the Dome of the Rock door unless you pay respect to the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares carved in stone flanking the right side of the door in the stone rectangular window frames. That's the 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids when you stand in front of them upon the Giza pyramid complex in North Africa. If you don't pay respect to the African Sphinx of the Lion of Judah when you visit Jerusalem, then you lost. Your whole Bible crap is nonsense. How are you going to talk about Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and this, the North African Couching Lion Sphinx of Ethiopia, where we see the masons of the African pyramids within the flanking each of the doorway in stone rectangular window frames, or 1, 2, 3 group in the triangles. Now, on the blank sheet of paper, right? If you write a rectangle representing the stone rectangular window frame that flanks the dome of the rock door to the octagonal building structure that you up on the Jerusalem Temple Mount, the holy building of King David and Solomon that has the golden dome. So before you walk into that door, you must pay respect to the African Lion Sphinx of the tribe of Judah, 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid triangle. Now, if you fail to do that, that means you brainwashed by the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible and the Greek devil eye up on the back of the dollar bill pyramid in front of the sun. That means that everything the Greek devil eye up on the back of the American dollar bill currency has created, including the books, biology, cell phones, all the technology come from the Greek devil eye on the back of the African pyramids in front of the sun. Once you look at this, you've been brainwashed by the Greek devil that took over Africa. It's referred to in Daniel 8:12 as the Greek and Roman conquerors over the biblical Holy Land areas. Now, in order to explain this dual X's within one of the stone rectangular window frames that flanks the doorway that you must walk to gain entrance into the octagonal building structure of King David and Solomon that has the golden dome. Now, if you the dual X's carved in stone in one of the rectangular window frames represent two sideways Ethiopian crosses. But you say, why? Why? Well, that's the African Sphinx talking to you when he wrote the dual X's. Okay. So you say the African Sphinx, Lion of Judah, is talking from the first rectangular window frame flanking the door that you enter into the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure. That's right. The African Lion Sphinx of Ethiopia, that root over ancient Giza, Gaza, and Palestine, is talking with two dual Ethiopian crosses. He's talking masonically and geographically and astronomically. Now let me decode the dual X's of stone representing two sideways Ethiopian crosses. Because if you turn the Ethiopian cross on a blank sheet of paper sideways, you have an X. So Malcolm X, the black African smart leader in America, the Malcolm X College and stuff, it gives credence to why he chose that name X. Okay. In other words, he died before he can ever tell the normal-headed humans in Chicago about the two X's that appeared in the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames flanking the doorway entrance. But if I decode the two X's in stone that flanks the doorway into the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure, okay, let me decode it right quick. So write a rectangle on a blank sheet of paper, two X's in a rectangle. Now if you draw a line from the corners of each X down to the other corner of each X, alright? So that means once you draw a line from the corners of each X within the rectangle and do the same with the top and bottom and the left and right, you would be generating three pyramids. So the resulting image of connecting the lines of two X's within the rectangle, which appear within the Dome of the Rock, flanking the entrance doorway. So what is these two X's telling you about? That's the African Sphinx trying to talk to you masonically. What is he saying? He's saying the three Giza pyramids is generating a huge within the X. So these two X's, when you connect all the lines, they are generating an inverted pyramid shaped UFO interlocking with a black Islamic Kaaba. So picture an inverted pyramid tip, touching down on the Islamic Kaaba in Mecca. That's the dual axis decoded message of the African Sphinx. So what's the image of two dual axes when you connect all the lines of the axes within the rectangle? It generates an inverted pyramid shaped UFO. You'll look at my video and you'll see it. Interlocking with the black Islamic Kaaba in Mecca. Coincidentally, the word Kaaba in Arabic means cube. So why do we see an inverted pyramid within the doorway, stone rectangular window frames? So you got to make some sense out of this. So all you black Afro-American ministers and preachers who's preaching the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible talking about a Greek and Roman image of God, that's all nonsense. You've been tricked. Because the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount was the Ethiopian Chaldean lion sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. So go ahead and keep pretending to play church. And keep your white Greek and Roman image of God and Jesus. Because that's your brainwashing. By the Greek double eye up on the back of the American dollar bill pyramid. Okay. That controls the normal hidden humans that now populate the entire world. But once you move out of the brainwashing, you'll figure that who's returning to the Jerusalem Temple Mount has nothing to do with the Greek and Roman mistranslated 400-year-old King James Bible image of Jesus or Jehovah. It has everything to do with the first Adam in Genesis 1:26 that created it's watching over the second Adam that was created in Genesis 2:7. That's you and me and the rest of the world. We descended from the second Adam. That means we all have normal shaped heads. The first Adam had a long watermelon shaped head, such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls as a watermelon shaped headed African pharaohs. So when you look at this great archaeological, theological, and astronomical discovery, you will see then that the Dome of the Rock chief focus was about the lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah that ruled over ancient Giza and Gaza, who's referred to in Genesis 49:8 as the fourth son of Jacob. So the first book of the King James Bible speaks of the fourth son of Jacob in the 49th chapter and 8th verse as the lion of the tribe of Judah who cast down as a lion and as an old lion. Okay, Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse says that the 12 sons of Jacob entered into ancient Egypt after from the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, which is located in modern Iraq. Here's where we see Genesis 49:8, fourth son of Jacob, entered into ancient Egypt amongst the 12 sons of Jacob, where we currently see him today as he's cast down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Egyptian pyramids, as the Ethiopian Chaldean lion sphinx of ancient Judaism. So this seemed to be the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount. So the Afro-American ministers and preachers in Chicago and Lalibela, you got brainwashed normal hidden humans believing that Jesus or Jehovah was the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount, which is nonsense. All you need to do is walk up to the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames and you'll see the 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids flanking all of the doors. They just like if you carved 3 triangles straight down in a row in a stone rectangular wall. You get it now? That's the image that appears flanking the Dome of the Rock. There's only 4 doors that lead into an octagonal building structure. So each door has a stone rectangular window frame flanking it. And in each stone rectangular window frame is 3 triangles carved out of the solid wall of the stone rectangular window frame. And okay, but these are, so it appears like 3 vertical triangles. So that means it has a line at the back of the triangle. Now, all you need to do is to turn that rectangular window frame horizontal, and then you'll see 1, 2, 3 pyramids, and the line represents the base of the pyramid where it rests on in the Pyramid of Giza sand. So once you make the discovery that the Jerusalem Temple Mount, Dome of the Rock, outer wall, stone rectangular window frames, was all about the lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah, who's now cast down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid. And it had nothing to do with the Greek and Roman 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible thumpers image, the man-made image of God, as a white man called Jesus or Jehovah. It has everything to do with the 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Now, why is this so important? Well, the Ethiopian cross tells us who's returning to the Dome of the Rock and who's returning to the Isaiah 1919 Giza Pyramid. Isn't that amazing? How a black African cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela that was carved out of solid bedrock, the area that was left formed the square. Okay, that square is so deep that once you jump in it and reach the bottom and look up, you're looking up from the book of Revelation 21:18, returning moon-sized cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem. Every cube has a square for a ceiling, a square for a floor, a square for a left and right wall. So this is how we know that when you jump down in the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure square area that was left, after the cross-shaped building structure was carved out of solid bedrock, you're jumping out in the cube dimensions of New Jerusalem. So this is also why when you look at the cross-shaped building structure from a helicopter looking straight down upon the cross-shaped building structure in Ethiopia, you see at the base of the cross within the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, that's the square area that was left. It was so deep. So the base of the Ethiopian cross has the globe, earth, stellar, pyramid, Mercator projection of the 12 sons of Jacob, and the fourth son of Jacob, who's now cast down in front of the Isaiah 1919 Giza Pyramid as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay, so when you look at the globe, earth, stellar, pyramid, Mercator projection at the base of the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela, rising up out of the cubic dimensions of New Jerusalem, you go to the Dome of the Rock out of the wall stone rectangular window frames, and you'll see the same Ethiopian cross being flanked by 1, 2, 3 group of the pyramid squares on the upper left and right hand corners and lower left and right hand corners within the stone rectangular window frame. Now, in the center of that rectangular window frame, you'll see a central Ethiopian cross, a vertical section, rectangular section, and a horizontal section, and a square superimposed in the center of the Ethiopian cross. That's the image of the Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure in modern Lalibela. So if you never knew this, you've been lied to by the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible thumpers. So you've been pretending all this time to follow the Sphinx of ancient Judaism, which was the chief focus of the Jerusalem Temple Mount, 1, 2, 3 group of the pyramid squares, flanking the central Ethiopian cross. Now, remember, the cross-shaped building structure base in modern Lalibela, it's pointing to the Mars 41.2 degrees north stone face of Cydonian, that was filmed in the 1976 Viking frame, 35A72 of the National Space Administration when they sent satellites to Mars. Okay. So they found this 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars next to 5 huge African pyramids on Mars. Now what is this? The Mars face represents the second Adam. That's Genesis 2:7, normal-headed African Adamic race. The first Adam was Genesis 1:26. That's elongated-headed African pharaohs such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls. Once you make the connection to the Mars face and then connect the 5 Cydonian pyramids just on the blank sheet of paper, you would draw 5 squares. Okay. And they kind of like resemble the Egyptian pyramids, except in a square, right, you would draw a line from each of the 5 square bases of the Mars Cydonian pyramids and connect it to the other square bases of the 5 pyramids. And from the opposing lines, the triangular face of those Martian pyramids, you connect them to the other triangular face. Once you connected all those lines together and look back at the picture, you see a rectangular king's chamber being generated from the pyramids on Mars that has a black African EA shadow face of the first Adam. So this is the face on Mars. Now what's important about the face on Mars is that a 10-degree sunrise above the 5 Cydonian pyramids, it creates a shadow from the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars. So when you're looking at the original Viking frame 35A72 satellite imagery of the 1976 space discovery on Mars next to 5 pyramids, you're looking at the normal-headed atom that was created in Genesis 2:7. Why is this important? Because if you have a normal head and you live in any part of the world and you have a normal shaped head, you belong to the normal headed human race. So the Mars Cydonian pyramids of 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars represent the creation of the first African atom. The second African atom. Remember, there was 2 creations in Genesis. One is the elongated headed African Adamic race, as Genesis 1:26, first sons of God. Okay, and the second creation is Genesis 2:7 of the normal hidden human race. Through the genealogical line of Ham, where we get the 12 sons of Jacob leaving the Babylonian stealth pyramid of Saqqara, located in the modern Iraq, and entering into North Africa after they crossed the Euphrates River. So that's why we see Babylonian stealth pyramids in Egypt, called the stealth pyramid of Saqqara, and in South America, Tiwanaku Pumapunku. Okay, all these stealth pyramids have ancient elongated headed skulls at their bases. So that when you find these skulls at the base of these stealth pyramids in South America, and find elongated headed skulls in the base of the pyramids in Babylon, that's in the Middle East, you'll see that the first sons of God that had long watermelon shaped heads, such as portrayed upon the ancient Egyptian temple walls as watermelon shaped headed African pharaohs, they were in spaceships and pyramid-shaped UFOs. And they knew that the sun created 9 planets within our solar system. This is the elongated headed African pharaohs. So they couldn't be tricked by a Greek devil that looked like a naked white man that had no hair on his head or body, nothing between his legs, just smooth skin. This naked 1947 Roswell 6-fingered fallen cherub is what the Bible was talking about in Revelation 9:11. When it says the number of the man is, the angel of the bottomless pit is called Apollyon. That's another Greek character who should gather all of the armies together and sends them into Jerusalem and Syria to wage war in the last day against brown and gray, 3 fingers and 1 thumb alien cherubs of our entire solar system. Once you make the connection to the 5 pyramids on Mars, to the Dome of the Rock, you will begin to look. You must look at the Dome of the Rock from a helicopter, the land surface, in order to see the Mars face, the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars, representing the second atom, the normal headed atom. So once you look at the actual Viking frame 35A72 satellite imagery of the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars next to 5 African pyramids, you will see that the stone face on Mars in a 10-degree sunrise is creating a shadow. And that's where we find the E8 shadow African face on Mars from the original 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars. Now what is this E8 shadow African face? It's the first, it's the second atom. That means the normal hidden human race that now populate the world was created from the Mars face, which is the second atom. Okay, they're connected to that Mars face. Now, why is this so important? When you look at what Viking frame 35A72 satellite imagery of the National Space Administration captured in 1976 when they visited the 4th planet. Okay, they looked down with their satellite imagery on this stone face of Cydonia. And when you're looking at it from satellite, that's like if you're looking at it from the African continent from outer space. So they're looking at the Cydonian land surface on Mars from outer space with satellite imagery, and they see this 41.2 degrees north stone face, and they see 5 pyramids, which look like squares to them, because they're looking straight down with satellite imagery, the face, and then you got 5 squares, and then when they zoomed in, they saw that these squares had tips at the top of them, so they was pyramids. Now, the face itself is connected to a pentagon. Okay, so the original image of Cydonia is a 41.2 degrees north stone face next to 5 pyramids, and then you see a pentagon. So you're looking down upon the Cydonian land surface. You say, what's the connection? the Pentagon is the pyramid within the globe earth pyramid Mercator projection. So once you rediscover the purpose of the Babylonian stealth pyramids or the 12 sons of Jacob, according to Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, why these stealth pyramids appeared in dome in the rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frames today, as they are being flanked by a 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares. So we see the Ethiopian cross being flanked by a 1, 2, 3 group in the pyramid squares on the upper left and right hand corners within the dome in the rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frames today up on the Jerusalem Temple Mount area. So what is this globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection? It's trying to tell the normal hidden humans that now populate the world that the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars was the origin of the normal headed 12 sons of Jacob that was created in Genesis 2:7. In other words, the genealogical line go back there. So what does this mean? Well, NASA found pharaoh statues on Mars. Okay, carved out of the big mountains on Mars. It's huge mountains carved, so you see pharaoh faces. Once you make the connection with the 5 African pyramids on Mars and the black African EA shadow African face next to these 5 pyramids, if you continue to be brainwashed by the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, then go ahead.